Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today we are looking at part 2 of my video series about ranking all of the Dalek stories that I've seen. Because there are a few from the 60s I haven't seen. I do mention that in part 1. I do recommend go ahead and checking out part 1. I will try to remember to add a link to that down in the description below. To see how the first part of the video worked out. I ranked about the first 11 or 12 of them there. This is part 2. We'll be counting down the top 10 or so of my favorite Dalek stories. Starting with Revolution of the Daleks. I actually really like this one. I like that they brought the Dalek Civil War bit kind of back in play here with... I like the fact that the solution to the Dalek problem was to bring in the original Daleks to kind of wipe them all out. Of course, you kind of create the problem of having to deal with the old school Daleks then. And the Doctor's solution to that, while I don't think is very Doctor-like, because it does involve killing a TARDIS, and I don't think the Doctor would really do that, it's a nice spectacle to watch. The effect of all of the Daleks swooping into that TARDIS was a really nice shot. I will admit it looked really neat. And just... in a bubble, it's a neat idea of the TARDIS just kind of closing in on itself. My only problem is the ramifications of the Doctor purposely killing a TARDIS. I don't think the Doctor would do that. It works as a nice sequel to Resolution as well. I like how it ties in with Resolution. It's a fun story. I actually enjoy it. The Trump-like guy, while still bothersome, is done better here than he was in Arachnids in the UK. I don't really think I need to see him again, but if they bring him back and flesh him out a little more, it'd be tolerable. But I actually do enjoy this story, I think, more so than some people do, especially people who are just very much classic Who fans, not modern Who fans, like a lot of the people apparently that watch my channel, because I do a lot of classic Doctor Who videos. But I actually do enjoy Revolution. I think it's a good story. Next on the list is Revelation of the Daleks. This one's really good. I really need to watch this one again. I don't own it, but I really liked it when I watched it. The bit when the little stone thing that looks like the Doctor falls on him at the end of part 1 looks a little fake, but other than that, I really like the effects. I've never seen the updated special effects in the series. I've seen like comparison videos on YouTube that show them, but I've never actually got to watch the story with the new effects. I'd like to do that. I think the old effects worked fine, but I'd really like to see it with the new effects. I find the DJ character, the kind of radio host or whatever he was, a bit annoying, but the bit with the glass Dalek was pretty neat. I got a kick out of that. The way Davros works in this story is really well done. Terry Malloy does a good job here. I actually like Colin here. Yeah, I really want to see this one again sometime. If the season 22 box set doesn't come out next year, I may just go ahead and buy the DVD again, because I really do want to see that one. I'm hoping we get the season 22 box set next year. Next on the list is... Let's see. Let me find it here. I forgot where I was. Death to the Daleks. I like Death to the Daleks, I think, better than most. I know a lot of people think this is John's worst story. I actually happen to like it. The Dalek voices in it, I don't care for. I know it's Michael Wisher. I don't. They sound too emotional and too panicky at times. But I do like the story overall. I love the scene when, as soon as John finds out they're about to sacrifice Sarah, he immediately does this, hey! Knocks out the ones holding him, shoves them out of the way, and just dives on to all of them. He takes all of them on, trying to save Sarah. That's a very Third Doctor thing to do, and I'm absolutely here for it. I love it. The story as a whole, I think it's good. I like the human colonist in it a lot, especially the one guy who seems like kind of a prick, but kind of does do the right thing at the end and save the day. I like that. The Dalek design in this one I like. I like the kind of silver and black Daleks. They look pretty neat. I would have liked to have seen more of them. I'd love to see them come back. I love their alternate weapons they come up with, the kind of rapid-fire projectile weapons. That's really clever. I like that. I still enjoy the fact that that when they're practicing with the little new guns to make sure they work, they practice on a model TARDIS. I like the fact they have a little model TARDIS to practice on. It's adorable. I have this secret theory that there was one Dalek on that ship. I call him Frank the Dalek, who's secretly a big Doctor fan, like a huge Doctor fan. He just doesn't want anybody else to know about it, but it's a badly kept secret and everybody knows about it. But they tolerate him because he's actually like the nephew to the Supreme Dalek, so they kind of have to put up with it. And I don't know, maybe Frank's like away for a moment visiting his uncle Supreme Dalek or something, so they're like, we need to practice our new gun. Let's practice on one of Frank's models. That'll tick him off. We might get in trouble. I'm not going to tell. Are you going to tell? No, I'm not going to tell. Yeah, let's get Frank's model. So that's the reason they blow it up. It's because they hate the Doctor and they want to annoy Frank. That's just my little fan theory on that, and I absolutely adore it. But I like Death to the Daleks. I think it's a very underrated story. Next on the list is Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. I really like this one, especially at the end of Army of Ghosts when that thing opens and you see the Daleks come out. It's so unexpected. It's so out of the blue. It's such a good twist. And it's such a, oh crap moment. First we have the Cybermen to deal with, and now the Daleks. We're boned. So that was such a cool cliffhanger. I really enjoyed it. And I love in part 2 the smackdown talk between Dalek Sec and the Cybermen. You are only better in one capacity. What is that? You are better at dying. You could stop us with 4 Daleks. We could stop you with 1 Dalek. I love that smackdown talk. And yes, I've seen the YouTube one that's extended and made even funnier, and I love that one as well. But yeah, I enjoy this one here. The Daleks are in good form on this one. I love when they actually do fight the Cybermen and just spank them. Just absolutely spank them. I think that's hilarious. I do. I think it's a really good story. It's very emotional. Everything going on with Ten and Rose, while it does get played out a little bit at the end, it's really good. I enjoy it. It's a very good 2-parter, very good season finale. Next on the list is Resurrection of the Daleks. I really like Resurrection of the Daleks. The Daleks are in good form here. I like their idea because they're still at war with the Movellans from Destiny. And they want to get Davros because they figure, much like in Destiny, he can figure out how to break the stalemate between them. Although I think at this point the Daleks are losing. I like how Davros is using that little thing of his to manipulate Daleks and people alike and make them his servants because it's a very Davros thing to do. Again, Terry Malloy is very good here. I love some of the exchanges between the Doctor and Davros, especially right there at the end when he's like, I'm not here as your prisoner but your executioner. It's very dark for Davison's Doctor. It's one of the darkest we really see Davison's Doctor get. So some great character development for him I really like. I enjoy these scenes when you see the human resistance trying to hold out against the Daleks and the Daleks just waste all of them because you do kind of get connected with a couple of those characters. I really need to watch this story again. I've seen it several times, but it's been a long time. And so seeing all of them kind of just get waxed there in the battle, pretty interesting. I do think it needs some updated effects. This is definitely the one for season 21 I think needs to get the CGI treatment. I think if they update the effects, that really will push this story right where it needs to be. Because it's a very solid script and a pretty well done execution, to be honest. But I'd love to see some enhanced effects for it. I think it needs it. Next up is the Parting of the Ways Bad Wolf 2-parter. Very, very good. I love right there at the end when all the Daleks show up. And for the first time in the modern series, you see an army of Daleks. And you're sitting here, especially if you're someone who just started with the modern series, and you saw how much havoc just one Dalek could do in Dalek. To see an army of them, a whole fleet of ships, you're just like, ooh. And the Dalek not even fazed by it, just him sitting there doing that. No. I said no. It means no. Rose, I'm coming to get you. And you realize just how badass the Ninth Doctor is. And then meeting the Emperor of the Daleks, that's pretty cool. He's so massive and got that booming voice, and watching the Doctor not fazed or frightened of him at all. Watching the Daleks when they're storming the ship, killing everybody. I like when they go down to the bottom level, wipe out everybody there. You see the people who are trying to mount a defense getting waxed left and right, barely even slowing the Daleks down. You see Jack get killed. I mean, just everything there just shows how epic and dangerous and deadly the Daleks can be. And it's a phenomenal 2-parter and a great way to end the season and a great way to introduce the first regeneration a lot of Doctor Who fans who started with the modern series, of course, got to see. Very good, very good. Next on the list, I believe we're at number 4 now, is the Day of the Doctor Special Edition. I really like the special edition of this with the enhanced effects. I already had mentioned the original version of this lower down the list in part 1. But the special edition really does make the execution of the story match the story. Because the story, the actual script, has always been really good. I love the script to this story. I love everything going on in this story. The execution was always lacking because of budget reasons, I think. But here it really works. The laser beam. The guns actually shoot their lasers now. The Dalek voices have been redone, which is the best thing. You actually have Nicholas Briggs from the modern series doing the Dalek voices, although I believe he did do them on analog equipment to kind of make them sound a little more classic Dalek-like. And it works really well. The Dalek voices are far more effective now. The special effects all around are far more effective now. Day of the Daleks is the best example of CGI updates for a Doctor Who story done right. It's the biggest gap between what I think of the original and what I think of the special edition. I mean, it just carries it above and beyond. The fact they shot more scenes with more Daleks for that final battle scene to give the illusion of more fighting going on and more Daleks being there. Absolutely phenomenal. I wish every Doctor Who special edition was as much of an improvement as this is. Some stories don't need as much of an improvement. I get that, but the ones that do, if they could be given this kind of budget and love and care, it would be absolutely amazing. Because it is a phenomenal story, and now the actual execution of the story matches the phenomenal story. Number 3 on the list, this one is tricky getting into these top 3, because these top 3 are all amazing. And number 2 and number 3 flip back and forth. They're almost a tie, and which one I place where just depends on the day. So I want to have that out there before I discuss 2 and 3, because they're really interchangeable. I love them both. At number 3, I actually have Genesis of the Daleks. Genesis of the Daleks is a masterpiece. It is phenomenally good. Tom Baker is so good in this. Michael Wisher is still my favorite Davros. He is so good in this role. And you slowly, over the course of this role, realize that this scientist is insane and crazy, and the extreme lengths he will go to achieve his goals. And that conversation between him and the doctor about the hypothetical situation of the disease and just the capsule, that is phenomenal. That is the best exchange the Doctor and Davros have ever had in all of Doctor Who. Even though they've had some other great exchanges, that is number 1. The Doctor's "Do I Have the Right" speech is one of the best speeches in Classic Who. Probably one of the best speeches in all of Doctor Who. Definitely one of the best speeches in Classic Who. It is very, very good, and we actually really get a sense of the Doctor's mettle and what he's made of and his beliefs, and it's a good character development for the 4th Doctor. It's so good. And for the people who think it might drag a little in the middle, we have the omnibus version, which cuts some of that out, so you can watch the omnibus version if you prefer that. It is really, really good. And I really like the character of Niter, the same guy who played in Doctor Who and the Silurians. I remember. I like him. Peter, I think is his name. I know he passed away a couple years ago. He's really good as Niter. I like Niter in this. He's fully dedicated to Davros in this, fully dedicated to Davros' belief. I love the ending when Davros kind of learns his own creations are turning on him. There is a part of me that kind of wishes Davros had never come back, that kind of wishes this is how Davros had ended, because it's perfect. I always get fascinated by stories where someone tries to play God or a creator goes too far and their creation turns on them and kills them. You know, they live just long enough to realize the full depths of the mistake they've made, and then they die. Probably one of the reasons why I love The Fly so much is what happens to him in the 1986 version of The Fly. I love that movie. There's a part of me that kind of wishes Davros had went out here. He'd lived just long enough to realize just how bad of a mistake he'd made, and then he got killed. Plus, the Daleks don't just lose by some Deus Ex Machina here. They actually do survive. They get kind of sealed in, but it really is just slowing them down. They do that part, we will prepare, we will get stronger. When the time is right, we'll take our place as the rulers of the universe, or whatever it is he says, a great little speech. It's a great ending for it, which I really, really like. Genesis is a legendary story for a reason, and it deserves its reputation. Number 2 on the list for me is Power of the Daleks. I love Power of the Daleks. The Daleks are so good here. I love both of the animations. I would love for the original footage to be found somehow miraculously. I would love to see the original version of this. The animations are really good. I do prefer the special editions animation a little more. I own the original and the special edition. Troughton is great in this. It does a really good job being the post-regeneration story of introducing a new Doctor, figuring out how different he is from the first Doctor. It's a good post-regeneration story. It's a good Dalek story. It's a good story in general. Watching the companions have to adjust to him. The Daleks sell this so much too. Again, I mentioned before, I like when people remember that the Daleks are intelligent. They're geniuses. They're very smart. But they're also very manipulative. They're very good at manipulating other people when they need other people. They don't mind playing subservient to other people as long as it meets their ends. And as soon as they don't need anybody anymore, they get rid of them. That's what they do. This is definitely one of those stories where we know more than the people who are trying to manipulate the Daleks in it. You know, the whole time they're like, we can use them. We can make them obey us. Us as the audience are going, no, 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 you're stupid. Don't do that. Don't trust them, because we know more than they do. And watching the human colonists, especially Lesterson, realize the mistake they're making, because Lesterson goes from cocky and overconfident and believing he can make them do what he wants to realizing that the Doctor's right, they're dangerous, they're a threat, and becoming more and more paranoid to the point at the end he just mentally snaps. He just snaps. He goes insane. And that's really fun to watch. The animation is so good. I love Power of the Daleks. It is so good. It's, like I said, I can't think of too many stories, especially with multiple Daleks, that's done this well. And the iconic scenes of when the Daleks are recreating themselves, making more of themselves, and you see them on the assembly line, that is just iconic footage. If you've never watched Classic Who, you need to watch Power of the Daleks. It is an essential must-see for Doctor Who. If there's ever any of the animations you watch, especially, it needs to be this one. It is so good. And number one on the list, my personal favorite Dalek story of all time is Dalek, the very first Dalek story of the modern series. It is not only good because the Dalek in it is amazing, but Christopher Eccleston is amazing as the Ninth Doctor. We really get to see some of the post-traumatic stress he is dealing with here. Anytime he talks with the Dalek, it is just must-watch TV. You know, when he first talks to it, that first meeting is so good. I know what's supposed to happen. I know what I'm supposed to do. Exterminate. You know, that whole exchange between them. And then when they talk later, you know, why don't you rid the universe of your filth? Why don't you just die? And that bit when the Dalek's like, you would make a good Dalek. You really see that role reversal. It's so good. And watching the Dalek kind of grow a conscience from everything it inherits from Rose when it absorbs her DNA, to where it starts doubting itself. It's really neat to see the Dalek becoming more human and the Doctor becoming more like a Dalek, just because of all the stuff he has suffered at the hands of the Daleks over the years. It's a really good story, and it shows just how deadly one Dalek can be. It is an unstoppable killing machine, an intelligent one. This is another one that remembers how smart the Daleks are. Not just when it cracks the safe, but when it kills them, like when it sees all the water running down and it shoots the water to kill multiple enemies instead of just killing them one by one. It's just wonderful television watching. That's one of the things where even people, I know there's a lot of you, I do so many Classic Who videos that I know I have a lot of Classic Who viewers. But even if you're not a fan of the modern series, you need to watch Dalek. Dalek is one of those things, I'm like, even if you don't like the modern series, you'll probably like Dalek. Dalek is done so well. It is easily my favorite Dalek story of all time. So, what do you think of my list? Don't forget to check out part 1 if you haven't. I'd like to know what your favorite Dalek stories are, and which ones I might like that you don't like, which ones you think are overrated, which ones you think are underrated. Comment down below. I always enjoy interacting with you guys and getting feedback and just starting discussion. I love starting Doctor Who discussions. So comment down below and let me know what you think. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click that bell for notifications. I've started a Patreon page. If you would like to contribute to that, you will find a link to that down below. But most importantly, stay safe out there, and thank you for watching.